Hello everyone. This is the next question of the contest, that is divide equally one. So let's start. Rahul and Ganesh are primary school students and have performed well. So I will just tell you basic what the question is saying. There are two students and we have n different chocolates, and each chocolate has been given certain number, and you have to decide that whether you can divide the chocolate all the chocolates equally between them or not. So from the test case, it will be more clear to you all. So just talking of constraints, t is less than 100 and n is 10 power 5. That is, any O of n or O of n log n operation will work, but not O n square. We have to print yes if we are able to divide them equally, else we have to print no. So let's take the first test case. Now here t is my number of test cases that we have to run, and this is the first test case for which we have n equals to 2. That means we have a array of size 2 here, and then we have 2 here and 2 here. So first chocolate we have count of 2, and this also we have count of 2, and there is another array which is either 1 or 0. So what does 0 depict here? So, where it is? 0 indicates that they can be broken into fractional parts, and 1 indicates that they cannot be broken into fractional parts. So, 0 means fractional is possible, and 1 means only integer. Since there are two students, R and G, so it is certain that whenever the number here is even, we will be always be able to divide it between R and G. But the problem will arise in that case when we have odd number of chocolates and we have to divide between them equally. So in this test case, since we have both 2 and 2 here, that means both of the count is even, we will be printing yes here, that is we can divide them equally. So let's see the next test case what it is saying. For the next test case, how do I move this? Okay, let's see here. This is the t number of test cases, and then you have 1 comma 4 here, and for 1 comma 4 there is 0 and 1 another array given. So that means first box has one chocolate and you have to divide it equally, and second you have four chocolates and divide equally between them. So 4 is possible, you give 2 here and 2 here, and for 1, since it is 0 here, that means fractional parts are allowed, so we will give plus 0.5 here and 0.5 here to divide it equally. So that means our entire problem boils down to iterate over this array, that is 1 comma 4, and then if you have 0, if you have even number, just skip the iteration. Else you have if you have an odd number in the array and you have 0 here, then that there is no issue, you will divide it into fractional parts. But you have an odd number and then you have one just below it, then in that case you have to output no as your answer. So this was the approach. Now let's start coding it in C++. For Python it would be similar. So first of all, we have to take input test cases in t, in t, and while t minus minus, that is, this loop will run for number of times. You have to take input int n, c in n, and you have to declare two vectors, vector of int a of n and b of n, to store. A of n will store all the frequency and b of n will store whether it is a fraction or not. So for int I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, what I will do is just c in all of the values, c in a of I, and similar loop I will run here for b. So a and b input is done. Now I will declare a flag, that is bool flag. Flag is true, that means our answer exists and we have to print yes. If flag is false, then we have to see out no. So in this case, Now I will iterate over the A array. So let's copy this again. Iterating over the entire array, we have to check that. What do we have to check? If the number of in the number in A is odd and the corresponding number is 1 here, then we have to set the flag equals to false. So that means if A of I equals to 1, A of I is odd, A of I modulo 2 equals to 1, and B of I equals to 1, that is we cannot divide it, then we have to set flag equals to false. Then just simply break, because once we have found that we cannot get an answer, just break it out. So if flag, that means if our answer exists, if flag, then I will see out yes and L, and L is for new line. Else, that means if I cannot find the answer, if I cannot divide it equally between them, I will see out no and L. So this is done, widely minus minus. Mm, so this closes here, this closes here. I will include all the libraries. Hash include bits slash std c plus plus dot h. Run the code. Hopefully it should work. Yes, both the test cases have been passed. Let's submit it. Chalo. So all the test cases are passing. So in this question, you have to just check one condition, that if the number AI is odd and BI cannot be divided into different parts, then you have to simply return no, else you have to print out yes. So that's all for the question of divide equally. Hopefully you can now solve it in Python on your own. Thank you for watching.